from my background, I've had a lot of experience in working as a judge in a lot of hackathons. I've done international competitions where I've judged. I've done a lot of local judging, and I've watched a lot of presentations. And I would like to spend a few seconds just talking about it, about what the judging or the assessment looks like when we look at presentations. So this is letting the audience behind the scene to understand what the judges are usually looking for in a competition, what investors are looking for if it's a pitching session where you're looking for investment. And it kind of usually works off a template. So we usually get a score sheet, and you are asked to score people on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 on a score sheet. And in terms of the score sheet, you then, and you can put comments to back up your score. And then you would total up the scores and find the best proposition, the best pitch. And what the score sheets would have, and it would be different according to what the situation is, but most of them have at least the following 5 questions. So one question is, how interesting is the problem? So we usually ask to dig into what problem the presenter is trying to solve, and whether it's an interesting problem, a valid problem, a useful problem. So that's the one score we would usually give. The second score is, how good is the solution? Is it interesting? And Kuleleko mentioned unique. How unique is it? How viable is it? So we would look at the solution and we would say, well, there's an interesting problem and there's a unique, innovative, viable, interesting solution to that problem. And we would score that. The third point we would look at typically is, can this innovator, so they talk about whether you back the horse or the rider. And in many cases, you would preferably find someone who you kind of believe can take an idea to market. Might not be this idea, because they might change in the course of further refining it, but do you believe in this person as an innovator, as an entrepreneur? So, and whether they have the skills, the personality, the talent to take this idea further. And then you would also ask about things like money and technology. Would look at what's being proposed, and in understanding viability, you could look at things like, and this was also covered in the points made in the presentation, you would look at costs, you would look at profits, you would look at viability in that sense. In many cases, people are looking for an investment. And as an investor, you would say, is this going to put my investment at risk? Or can I see that it can take it further and protect my investment in some way? People very often, when they give numbers, make 2 very big mistakes. One is that they guess numbers sort of unrealistically. So they say, oh, to produce the apple cost me 2,000 Rand. And they've never looked out in the world at how much it might cost to actually produce an app if you're outsourcing it. And it's important to do some research around the cost. And secondly, it's important when you present money to be quite realistic in terms of things like your own time. So if you're going to spend a whole month, night and day, working on this, how are you going to feed yourself? Have you built that into your costs and your budget? So you don't come for free, and kind of other people don't come for free. So you should think about that. And then the last thing that we usually look at is how good is the presentation. So the presentation counts. It gives you confidence in the person presenting or the team presenting. So if it's a chaotic presentation and things aren't working and they aren't cohering and they aren't coherent, it kind of makes you worry whether they are the right rider on this horse. Are they going to carry this thing forward? Are they serious? So the crafting of the presentation, the practicing of the presentation, the use of slides and graphics and those sorts of things to kind of look professional and look serious creates a very important perception for the judges, and they attach value to that. And then in many cases, there's a further factor that is very subjective, and we sometimes call it the wow factor. So does this whole thing, the problem, the solution, the person, the presentation, does it really blow your socks off? Does it make you feel that this is something that's really interesting and really worthwhile supporting? And it's something you have or you don't have, but you can acquire it. You can acquire a wow factor if you practice, prepare, and think about your presentation.